Hey guys, this is Just Paul, and here is your vintage bonus video of the week, as if you asked for it. Today I'm going to be showing off my collection of vintage dresses, and unlike the last video, which was eBay haul, what I found as pinup recreations on only eBay, these pieces were literally from all over the place. Let's jump into it! So if you saw my last video, you know I'm obsessed with polka dots. And while I've got you, let me just put a little a disclaimer here. When I talk about vintage, a lot of people have a very specific decade in mind when they think about what they consider to be vintage. I time hop, if you will. Some of the reproductions I have might be a little bit more reminiscent of 40s and 50s, while others are 60s and 70s. I'll try to talk you through some of the styles and when they're most relevant, but when it does come to dressing up vintage, I even might mix and match like hairstyles, makeup, and dress in the same outfit. So when I do go sell my donuts with my vintage look, or I'm simply dressing up, going out for a special event, or even making a video, I myself know that I am mixed and matching the various eras of vintage, and I'm just not taking it too seriously. If you are somebody that really is a stickler for the details, the historical facts, that you're going completely, 1965, East Coast America, you won't like me. So for our first dress, and I'm going to show you a piece of footage with me wearing it here. This is actually considered a wrap dress, much like the one I'm wearing right now. I'll show you that later as well. The neckline crisscrosses in front of the bust, and we generally have a pretty straightforward skirt that goes not completely straight down, but it's definitely not a circle skirt on some A-lines, which I'll show you that too. What is this brand name? I want to say that reads Later, maybe? L8TER? You know I fail my eye test all the time. But I got this in a Goodwill, which is going to be a theme that you see a lot. When I'm shopping, I tend to just spend the least amount of money as possible. At this point, I don't shop much at all just because I feel like I have enough clothes, and the clothes that I do buy for inexpensive off, like, say, the fast fashion websites in the very recent past have just been disappointing. So when I am at a secondhand shop, a consignment shop, a Goodwill, or a Salvation Army, I can physically pick up the pieces, and even though I am buying them used secondhand, I can see if there are any quality problems, any terrible wear and tear, and I can make that decision for myself. And I usually end up taking it home for very few bucks just because I'm willing to look through all the racks and every single piece of clothing on that rack to find the gem that I was looking for. I've worn this in some of my favorite headshots. It totally screams me because I love red, I love polka dots, I love classic femininity, and I wear this probably too much. My next piece is one of my absolute favorites that I wear all the time. This was actually a gift to me. The only one in here that I didn't actually buy myself. I got this as a gift from my brother and sister-in-law. This is my first example of the very classic A-line halter kind of cut. When you are searching online to find pinup clothing and you don't necessarily want to type in pinup or vintage, you want to go straight for this exact kind of dress, then you would type in A-line. What A-line means is that it is a bust that cinches right at the waist, and then a circle skirt will come out from there. And that's the very classic cut that you see on a lot of the vintage models, the pinup models, and the pinup clothing that you see all over the internet. This particular one is a halter neck, and this even has buttons so that you can raise or lower the neck, which I think is so cool. This reproduction has a lot of elastic and a zipper so that it fits pretty much everybody, but I'm pretty sure I might have, I even took it in a little bit more from my size just to get it perfect, which is easy to do. And like I said, are these all polka dot? More polka dots. Peplum dress. So this is not necessarily an A-line. It does have a very structured bust. So it has cup sewn into it and everything, not wiring or padding or anything, but just like the cup shape. And it's got a peplum on the waist. I wear this one vending a lot too. It's adorable. When I don't want as much red, it's what I do. And again, I think I got that at the same Goodwill. And the one I'm wearing, I will show you right now. Now this, I would consider definitely a wrap dress. You can even call it just a straight cut dress because there's not a lot of extra volume to the skirt. It does go straight down. This does cinch at my waist pretty well because it happened to fit me so good. And again, I got it at the same Goodwill. Or, no, I might have got this one at Salvation Army. Again, for like probably $5. Moral of the story, you can find these things for very inexpensive if you're willing to look. I live in Pittsburgh, PA. I got these in Pittsburgh, PA. People were, you know, getting rid of them. And yes, you do have to search. If you're going out for a pinup costume event the very next day, you might or might not find what you're looking for by going into, you know, a secondhand or consignment store, unless they are specifically centered around the vintage or retro kind of fashions. There are actual vintage stores that sell legitimate vintage items in the store at very expensive prices, which they deserve to do because these things are rare, especially when they're in good condition and they're fashionable, they're in demand. But for me, I am not a stickler for if it's a reproduction or if it's an actual vintage thing. I'm not that, can I use the word pretentious? I love classic femininity. I think it's very regal as well as being very sexy without being too overtly sexual. And most of all, I love finding a piece at random and getting it for a bargain in the secondhand stores. Comment down below, where is your favorite place to find vintage, either true vintage apparel or recreations? I'd love to know because I made this video after watching tons and tons of videos trying to find recommendations for these kinds of clothing because I love them so much. When I am going out to a festival, a movie premiere, a big event, I very often do the vintage thing and it makes me so happy. I will see you next week for the audience choice. If you have not cast your vote yet on what you want to watch, it's your choice again. Like the first week. You can tell me, and I will tally it up. If you want to see me again in the future, you know, that's what the red subscribe button's for. And if you want to support my endeavors in sitting here and making videos every week for people, then that's what the thumbs up button is for. I appreciate the time that you took to sit here and watch me. Have a great weekend, guys, and I'll talk to you later.